To nurture is to love fully. To care for is to express love in its grace, in its mercy, in its sweetness. Today, my beloved mother, Verla Lewis, would like to share with us. The Ascended Lady Master Verla. And she would discourse on caring for life, caring for people, plants, places, and our own divine plan. Nurturing nature is a sacred service. And nursing children, nursing families, nursing others, and caring for them is a precious activity. We all have to find someone to care for. Our parents cared for us when we were born, and often we may be thrust into the responsibility to care for our elders, our own parents, at the end of their life. When we nurture nature and when we care for people, plants, places, and plans, we are living a life of meaning. Because why else would God place us here than for us to be of service, loving others, loving ourselves, loving what God has created, and tending the garden of our own heart and tending the gardens of others' hearts. To care for life is to live an authentic life, a beautiful life, where taking responsibility and accountability for nurturing and caring for those who require that nurturing and assistance and aid moves us into our own Buddha nature and a higher frequency, because we now become godlike in the sense that God created everything and still cares for us and loves us and nurtures us with God's Spirit, His Spirit and His love, her Spirit and her love. And this nurturing and caring for us, we then pass on and pay it forward to life. When we truly care for something and nurture it with our heart's fire, our attention, with pure motive, and with tender regard, TLC, tender loving care, those people, those plants, those places feel that authentic love, kindness, respect, reverence. And there is a transfer, a direct transfer of light and energy and healing grace to those who we truly care for. The environment itself, our home, our property, even our neighborhood and ultimately our community, and then the world. Many people, unfortunately, are not taught to care for things and plants and beings, and therefore they litter, they pollute, and they do things to destroy the environment. When you are taught from an early age that everything is sacred, everything is alive, everything has meaning, everything is a part of God, then how can you mistreat anything? You can't, because you feel the sacredness, you feel the light, you feel the beingness of everything and everyone and every being. Caring for life puts you in that mode of Christ attentiveness, because Christ cares for every man, woman, and child, and Buddha tends the heart fires of every man, woman, and child. And when we truly love, we have to care for ourselves, others, the world around us. That love becomes active, it becomes charity, it becomes service. We can say that we love, and yet how do we care for, tend to the things within us and around us? If we truly love, we will care for things. We will take care of our property, of our homes, keep them clean. We will tend the fires of everything in our environment. Notice things. Be sensitive to what is. And then through that sensitivity, we will respond to the needs, the requirements of all. And this responsiveness, like the first responders that are active right now through the siren that we just heard, somebody responding to an accident or a situation, we, through the sensitivity of our hearts, our souls, and our spirits, become more attuned to God and the divine world, which is always responsive to our prayers, our requests, our needs. If heaven were not responsible and responsive, angels would not exist. Angels are the very created beings that God invested in to tend to all life and to hear the pleas, the cries, the pains, the sorrows, and then bring comfort, bring this nurturing spirit. Many of us may be angels in embodiment because we chose to return here to help others and to bring forth life, to tend to that life, to care for that life. Beloved Verla had 10 children with Bob. Imagine that. Tending the needs, the daily needs of 10 children over a 22 and more year period where nursing was absolutely essential, changing diapers, feeding, doing laundry, caring for the home. That was a huge responsibility. And through the example of loving parents, each child received impartations of elements of what a caring parent would look like and be like. And so hopefully all of the children, all of us have children, and we are passing on that legacy of nurturing nature, nursing the children and the grandchildren, and alleviating suffering, yet more than that, etching imprints of what a virtuous, loving life looks like. And those imprints, as etchings of spirit fire, go deep into the soul of the child and the grandchild and the great-grandchildren and create these essences that live on through the new generations. You leave your legacy of who you are etched within Akasha, and especially within your children. And they will carry forward the TLC that you embedded in their lives with how they treat others, how their respect, their reverence, their caring nature will then live on as a part of their legacy, which is still part of your legacy. When we tithe, we invest in God's plan for the earth within the movement, the community, the dispensation that we tithe to. When we donate toward a cause, we are investing, we are caring for that cause by taking the energy that has become abundance or money and then pouring it into a vision of what that movement, that community, that nonprofit, that church or spiritual community is trying to do to further God's plan through what it offers the earth and the constituents, the individual community members. All of you who have donated to this cause, both monetarily and yet more importantly, the energy of your soul, coming to services, giving, sharing, and nurturing life within this movement, are a part of the great divine scheme or divine momentum that has been created and is sustained through each person and their givingness, their love, their charitable acts, their prayers, their God desires to see a better planet manifest. So you become a nexus through which God nurtures and sustains a little neighborhood of the cosmos, whether in Montana, Mount Shasta, San Diego, Texas, New York, Chicago, wherever you are caring for life through your loving life. Live to the glory of God. You are investing again and again in what God is continuing to create through you and each one of us. Because as co-creators, we are expanding the cosmos. We're expanding the reach of God's light, God's energy, God's creative fire. To nurture is to love fully. To care for is to express love in its grace, in its mercy, in its sweetness. To be grateful to God and to show God within ourselves and the universe that we care, we simply must get up each day and desire to do something of value that's worthy of our time, our efforts, our energy, our attentiveness. When we truly care, we give our all. We respond. We prove the law of love through that responsiveness, being a good Samaritan where required. More importantly, though, being an extension of God as God's sons and daughters. Because we're created in the image and likeness of God, we do have this etching within our very fiber of the need or the responsibility to commit ourselves to care for a life. It's in the nature of every woman that when she bears a child, that she takes care of that child. It's right within the very essence and the fiber of her soul to do this. And it's a natural instinct that God put inside of us to do this. We must do it. We're compelled to do it because then we carry forward into new generations life as God has created it and etched within us this very loving nature of who we are. When we see suffering in the world, we must respond. It can just be a prayer. We can close our eyes and send light to those who are suffering. We can imagine a better world where suffering ceases to occur. And through divine imagination and the power of our vision, we co-create a new world where suffering is no more, where heaven has descended into earth. Earth has become heaven-like, and people respect one another, love one another, as all are expected to do, as sons and daughters of God. The power of our vision, the power of true communication, where our caring becomes active through all kinds of different aspects of our life. Speaking lovingly, asking questions, how can I help you? How may I serve you? What can I do for you today? Think of this when you wake up. Make a plan if required. It begins with you, and you become the center of the cosmos where this caring, this nurturing, this naturing and nursing becomes such a beautiful daily activity that you just jump for joy to see how God through you can co-create something magical, divine, beautiful, and sublime. We can know so much intellectually. We can have all the wisdom teachings of the world's religions at our beck and call in our memory body. Yet all that is really as nothing compared to taking that teaching, activating it, and utilizing our gifts and talents to bring the spirit of caring and carefulness, attentiveness and nurturing into action. This is how we prove who we truly are. We can put on a facade, we can don garments, and we can do rituals. We can have all of our prayer rituals that we love to engage in, yet within them let us extend this mother energy of caring and reach out through our prayers, our decrees, our songs, our devotions. Reach out into the world and extend the radiance of God's peaceable kingdom and God's caring for us, and make it real. Make it real. When I think of how my mother cared for us 10 siblings and nurtured us day after day, it was an amazing life of selflessness, complete selflessness, service, surrender, sacrifice to the max. And my father too, earning money so that we could all go to private school, most of us Catholic school, and then higher education, etc. What a sacrificial life my parents had with 10 children. What a givingness that they were engaged in. They were an example to me. They were an example to many of us who knew them. And they're still an example, just in a different dimension now. And thank you, Mom, for this sharing today, because when I think of you, I think of love. When I think of you, I think of motherhood and the feminine aspect of God, and of how you etched and embedded within me and within all of my 9 siblings aspects of who you had become as a son or daughter of God, living the best life that you could live and caring for each one of us. The grace that I feel, the love that I feel for you, I hope that others will feel for their families, their siblings, their parents, their children, and then live honestly and integrally and extending the highest of who they are, the brightest of who they've become, to rebirth the cosmos and their little neck of the woods where they live, move, and have their being.